Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys, from where you're watching us from. This is Career Growth with Karen, the channel where we have empowering conversations on how we can have more fulfilling and more progressive careers. So if that's what you're looking for, you're in the right place. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. Share it with your friends and networks. Comment on the episode, like the content, and just let's have an engagement down below in the comment section. So today we are gonna have a conversation about the corporate traps that you must avoid, and this is just I saw this in one of the TikTok videos. I have been on TikTok a lot, you can imagine, guys. I've had the time, and I have been following a certain lady called Marcela Antonio. She does some of this HR content, and she did something on corporate traps, and there are some things that I really agreed on, and I was like, yeah, I need to also give my take on my opinion on each of these things that she talked about. So today we are talking about those corporate traps for you to avoid, especially if you're just early in your career or somewhere in the mid of your career. So you're in the right place if that's where you are, and let's get started. This is Career Growth with Karen. So guys, today we are talking about the corporate traps you must avoid. So I know some of this will look like a recap because I talked about some mistakes to avoid in your career, and some of this may already be there. I have been following Marcela Antonina, as I've talked about, and you can follow her. She has this content about careers, very short clips about things that you can know may be helpful or may not to you, but just check her out. You may check her out. And I looked at this corporate trap she had, and I thought, yeah, let me give my opinion on some of them, but also maybe just add some of my own. So I'll share 5 corporate traps that I think you must avoid. And the first one, more hours doesn't mean success. So that one, I can't agree more. More hours does not mean more success. I know most of us, we have learned how to work hard and not work smart, but we need to do the other way around, working smart as opposed to working hard. So especially when you're new in your career, you're likely to give in more hours, and or even not necessarily young in your career, even especially in management, people really do give in more hours. What I would like maybe to implore you is to be more strategic, and just give your time to do more of the strategic pieces, do more of the work that has more impact and has more visibility, and it moves you forward more than getting caught up in doing more and more of routine work that gets you caught up in a lot of hours but less impact in the workplace. So if you're looking for more success, then you're better off doing things that are more impactful, even spending your time networking as opposed to just killing yourself with desktop work 24/7, and you're doing so much of it and even getting burnout. So focus on the high impact work and be sure to take a rest or to take a break. The other trap is overcommitting or overpromising. Oh my goodness. Overcommitting. So this happens in different levels. The first level is when you're younger in your career, you're likely just to take on every task. And I think I've talked about this in one of my previous episodes, where you say yes to everything. So you're in HR department, but somebody from finance comes and tells you to file documents, you say yes. Somebody from procurement wants you to look through tenders, you say yes. Somebody from, I don't know where, I mean, you're taking on work that doesn't even belong to you. So you just spread yourself too thin, and at the end of the day, you really can't do one thing well because you're spread out too thin. It also happens in mid-level employees and also senior level employees, where we over promise. And I know there are memes that go out there where your boss is promising the client that the deliverable will be ready tomorrow, and we know so well there are so many things that are due tomorrow. So I mean, manage your deadlines. That's what I can say. Manage your deadlines. I mean, when anybody gives you a piece of work, always be sure to ask, when do you need it by? When is this required by? So that you can organize your work. You can't have everything being due tomorrow or being due on Monday. 17 things are due this Monday. I mean, it cannot work like that, guys. You have to manage your deadlines. So every time you take on a piece of work, always be sure to ask, when is it due by, and use your prioritization tools, whatever prioritization tools you can use, so that you always have visibility of when your work is due, so that every time you know how to commit, you know how to pace yourself as regards work. And be willing to just say that, I can do this, but I will do it by next week. I can do this, but I will do it by Friday, so that you don't get yourself caught up in, again, giving in the more hours simply because you overcommitted or you overpromised. The third thing is chasing titles. So there is nothing as deceiving as titles in the corporate space, guys. There is nothing as deceiving. When you're caught up in chasing titles, I'm telling you, you will be at some point short-handed. There's a time earlier on in my career where I got a job offer to be a corporate sales executive in an organization. Corporate sales executive. I don't know what comes into your mind when you think about a corporate sales executive. At that time, I was very young. I was about 24 years, and I was already to be a corporate sales executive. That title was very endearing. But you will not believe it. Actually, my job was supposed to be to literally hawk electronics in town, hawking electronics in town. And I'm being called, instead of just being called a salesperson or somebody who sells computers or somebody who's like a corporate sales executive, I almost thought I would have my own office that is soundproof, with a whiteboard where you organize tasks of the day, and you have a PA. It really is a high sounding title, yet really in it, when you unpack the title, it is really just nothing. And I know in corporate we try to give it's part of making the person feel good when we give you a good title to your job. And that is why you need to always unpack what is in the title. Read the job description. I don't know, I don't remember, because it's a long time ago. I don't remember what the job description for that role said. I don't know whether if I read it, it's looked more of a sales thing or more of an executive thing. I can't remember what it looked like. But unpack the job description of a role. Don't just get stuck on the title. Unpack the job description. And at times, be willing to be in a job that doesn't sound like, don't just dismiss a job because it's called senior analytics, senior HR analyst. And you imagine, analyst, I don't want to be an analyst. I mean, I already have 8 years experience. Do I want to be an analyst? Guys, sometimes check into that job. Read that job description and see what that analyst does. Because there are organizations that will call this person an analyst, but this person is overseeing a geography of so many countries. Their portfolio is so big. They are managing huge clients. They are managing a big workforce. They are earning lots of money because their responsibility and their scope of coverage is big. So they are calling it analyst. But when you look at the position, it's what you can almost call a director level. It's what you can almost call a senior management level. So don't just be caught up and say, no, for me, my title has to have manager in it, or it has to have director in it. No, sometimes it doesn't have those names. It has maybe associate, it has analyst, it has lead. But that person is actually a senior person. It's actually somebody with a lot of responsibility. And at times it's the opposite. It may also have director in it, it may have executive in it, and yet it is really just nothing. It's an entry level job, a junior level job where you're just starting out. So always don't be caught up in the titles, but more unpack, get to see what exactly is this position about. And when you're not sure, when you go into an interview, always ask, who is this role reporting to? If that is not in the advert or in the job description that is posted in the advertisement, always ask in the interview, who does this role report to? Because if it's an analyst reporting to a senior associate or a senior analyst, then this one is a junior level. If it's an analyst reporting to a manager, you can tell, okay, we are somewhere in the middle. If it's an analyst reporting to a director, or if it's an analyst reporting to a CEO, based on who this person is reporting to, you can try and gauge where exactly is this position in the organization chart. And depending on what you're looking for, whether you are an entry-level person or whether you are a mid or a senior level person, then you can position yourself appropriately. So don't just get hung onto the titles. Remember, these titles, people just sit in a room and decide what they want to call the position. So it may not be a true reflection of what the job is. So be sure to unpack and see what the job description says. The fourth thing is ignoring work-life balance. Ignoring work-life balance is a trap that you should never get yourself caught up in. And especially at such a time as this, where everyone has talked about mental health and you just being on top of your own mental health and understanding that life is not all about work. You have everything else to take care of, and especially your own health. mind, body, and soul. So don't ignore work-life balance. And I know at some point, corporate can really be about just securing the bag. Yeah. We are all about securing the bag. We are all about it's a really tight and competitive space. That's what I must say, especially here in Kenya, where we know that there is unemployment. So for the person who has a job, it's almost like you're at risk of losing it if you're not on top of your game. So we are always trying to prove a point and trying to prove that, guys, I'm on top of my game. I can do this. I can do everything in the world. But let's not ignore rest. Let's not ignore taking time off. Let's not ignore. I once consulted in an organization where people had leave balances of up to 60 days. In an organization where leave is actually 25 days a year, how do you have leave balances of 60 days? You haven't gone on leave for how many years? I think, how many years are those? Like 3-4 years. How do you live your life not having gone on leave for 3 years? Guys, there's a reason why even the Employment Act asks us to go on leave. And we must take that leave. We must take a break from work. We must take care of ourselves. So don't ignore that work-life balance. And then don't be shy of asking for the time off. Don't be shy and don't feel like you have to justify your awareness or absenteeism from work if it is leave. I'm not saying you just absent yourself, but if it is planned leave where you have scheduled with your manager and you have said, every quarter, I'm going to just take 5 days off. Every quarter, and you have that planned out. That is 20 days in a year. The law provides for 21. So spread out your leave and get to take rest, get to have work-life balance. Don't work through the night unless that is your shift, but do not ignore. It will pay forward, guys. It will pay forward if you have understood how to balance your work life and how to take rest. It will pay forward. Those people who are on the run, they end up exhausting themselves very early, especially with terminal diseases, very early, because your body just gives up. I will give you a story in another episode about work-life balance. And there are so many stories of people who have burnt out at their workplace because they ignored the work-life balance. So do not be caught in that trap. And do not be like, I need to do what so-and-so has done. There's so much competition everywhere. Please just live your life. Do what your JD is asking you to do. Mark your KPIs with your manager and literally live your life. Do not benchmark yourself against everybody else. And the last one is neglecting personal growth. So as I said in my previous point, your life is not all about work. One day we want to see your papers and we want you to have a master's. So that means at some point you need to be studying. At some point you need to be doing a professional course. At some point you also need to be advancing in your own other personal things that have nothing to do with work. Maybe you're a musician, maybe you're an artist, you're a painter, and you also want to enrich that part of your life. Apart from just, remember, retirement will come, and when retirement comes, you will no longer be working, you'll be doing other things. So take time to also grow those other things, growing your network, growing just living a healthy social life, being with family, developing all those other areas of your life. If you're a spiritual person, also focusing on the spiritual aspect of your life. There's so many small other different components of your life apart from just work. So don't just over focus on work alone and leave everything else. Be sure to balance out, to make sure you're studying, you're growing in your networks, you're growing in your social life, because all these things are going to be important in your life at the end of the day. So do not only focus on your job, but have that 360-degree view of your life and make sure that you're growing 100% as a total, or what people call holistic growth. Yeah, so that is what I had to share for today on corporate traps you must avoid. If any of this resonates to you, share in the comment section. Let us know your story. If you have any questions or you'd also disagree, there are some people who disagree. If you disagree, let's also hear your opinion or your viewpoint in the comment section. And as always, please subscribe to this channel. Please share this content with other people. Please like, please comment. Yes, and let's see each other in the next one.